Today on the Building Share of Tips and Tricks, we are going to be learning how to cut like a pro with a handsaw. Now this is cheap and cheerful, about £6 worth, an Irwin Universal. They will last you depending on how often you use it, you know, for anything from one job to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jobs. So, firstly, sharp saw. Now it always needs to be sharp. If you use a blunt saw, a couple of things. Firstly, you are going to get a bad cut, that's a fact. Secondly, the cut will take longer, you'll have to put more effort in. And thirdly, if you put more effort in, there's a chance you'll be pushing too hard and that can then bow and you end up with scars like that from when I was rushing and I was stupid, and believe me, they bleed a lot. So always use a sharp saw. Sawhorses down here, or any flat surface. So we're going to do our cut here. A quick thing on measuring pencils. Now as you can see, this pencil here is kind of rectangular, it's flat. Now why is that? Now when you put your pencil down, if it's on a flat surface it's fine. However, if the surface is slightly inclined, a round pencil will roll away and it just is a pain. Okay, so let's measure. So there's our length, random length that we want. You now need to have a 90-degree cut here to that. How do you do that? The saw comes with a ready-made 90-degree angle. So what you do is on the inside of the cut, the bit that you want to keep, let's put an X on there because we don't want that one. You place this edge against the timber, slide it into position, hold it down with your thumb and draw your line. So there we go, we have a nice 90-degree cut. However, were you to cut this now, you could cut, but your saw might be at that angle, might be at that angle. You wouldn't have a good plane here, and we want a vertical plane with our cut. How do we achieve that? Same thing. We have our mark here. Continue your mark slightly onto the timber there. Bring that saw down and create a mark. Great, so we've now got mark up, mark across. When starting to cut, you need to make a little nick in it with your saw. Now, if you look at a saw blade, the teeth are angled forwards. The cutting motion is forwards. It doesn't really cut on the way back. So what you do though, to start, this is the only time you apply pressure when going backwards, is you hold down nice and tight there, keep your arm away from the saw and just gently draw back on the line 2 or 3 times. There you go. You can see that I now have a starting point. Right, now it's all about getting over the top of the timber. I need to be looking at this line and that line. So once my saw goes through this line and down that line, I'm on a vertical plane and at 90 degrees to the timber. Okay. Okay, follow that. Now sawing technique. As I mentioned about the blades, teeth at the bottom, when you saw, a sharp saw should do the work for you. You draw back lightly, no pressure, push forwards. Draw back lightly, push forwards. Draw back lightly, push forwards. You see, it's a very fluid motion. No pressure involved. This saw looks flimsy, look at that. However, on that plane, it's very, very strong. So if you start pushing into it too hard and you get this flipping motion, you know that you're not sawing correctly. It has to be using the strength of the back of the saw. So as I said, draw back gently, bang, bang, bang. Very simple, lot of pressure on here. Okay, we keep going, always looking, check. See, look, we're down through there. So now because of this flat saw blade here, the rest will be at 90 degrees. Okay, Now the final tip, when you get near to the end of your cut, you can see we've only got a little bit left there. If you were to just cut straight through, there would be no pressure on this final bit here, and that would rip off and that would ruin your cut. So what you then need to do is you put your elbow here, hand across the timber. So look, my arm is perfectly safe. It's nowhere near the teeth. And you just hold on to that gently, cut, take it away, and there is your nice, perfect cut. Now, you may think that's it, I'm fantastic at sawing. Quick thing, if you're gonna work like a pro, you've got to talk like a pro, and this is called a crosscut. So we are doing a cross cut. If I were to be cutting down the length here, that's called a rip. The saw has one other fantastic feature. Look, this, why is it angled like that? It's not just to be pretty. That is because you can cut a 45-degree angle. So how do you do that? Mark your length, put the saw against the timber like this, slide until you hit the pencil line here. That's it. And that is 45 degrees. So there we go. Mark that. And as we're going to be cutting, we need to have a vertical cut. So what we're going to do is mark that there, bring the timber over, put my vertical line, always keep your pencil behind your ear, and we are now going to cut, let's get myself straight, we are now going to cut down the vertical line and along this line. Then here we go, so down on that line, as you can see I'm perfectly on that line, and I'm on this line as well. So let's stop there. Look, you can see both lines. Whoops. So let's continue to cut now. Follow this line. And we're near the end of the cut, so what we do is this thing again, elbow on there, hold the timber, cut gently, fingers out of the way there, keep going. And that's it, look, there we have your beautiful, lovely mitre. So how to cut a mitre with a saw? Well, pretty straightforward that, wasn't it? Very easy to use, stay safe. Please subscribe below to my tips and tricks. DIY like a pro with a building sheriff.